Hi, team. Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time today. My name is Carnes White. It's very nice to meet you all. I'm the Partner Enablement Manager for the Splunk team at Carahsoft, and I'm honored today to bring our partner, Abraham's Consulting, with Carahsoft and Splunk to talk about how we're making an impact with our public sector customers using machine data. Carahsoft is a distributor serving the federal and state and local government with best-in-breed technology solutions, and partnering with Abraham's here, who I'll hand it off to shortly, who's going to be giving some perspective on what they're doing in the space as well. I'd love to take a moment to introduce Angela Gibson from Abraham's Consulting, and I'll go ahead and pass it off to her now.
Thank you so much. This is Angela Gibson. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you great, Angela.
Okay, that's great. So Abraham's Consulting is honored to be partnering with Carahsoft and Splunk to present this solution today. We have been in business for about 16 years, focused primarily in New York City government, but has expanded to New York State and the federal government as well, providing services in the 4 practice areas that we are engaged in, which is the vast majority of hardware and software, IT hardware and software, niche solutions that are focused around storage security and networking, managed services, and technical staffing. We are very excited to be able to partner with Splunk, which we know has been very reliable, especially in the government space. And so we're looking forward to bringing this solution and to expand their footprint with our client base here. Thank you so much for this opportunity. We hope that this time will be of time that's worthwhile and informative for you and your team. This is just an example of our capability statement here. As you can see, we provide a wide range of services. We are a women-owned small business, certified by the federal, state, and local government. We're an 8A as well, and most recently have actually been awarded the STARS 3 contract by the federal government, which will enable us to serve in a greater capacity as well. But we're certainly very focused here as well in the local and state government arena. If you need a copy of our capability statement, you can certainly reach out to me, or you can visit our website at abrahamsconsulting.com and for easy access. You can also schedule a personal consultation with my team for other services outside of what we're going to present today that may help you with your IT goals and objectives. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy this presentation.
Well, thank you, Angela, and we appreciate your partnership as well. Team, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Mike Young, who is one of our sales engineers on our sales engineer practice for the Splunk team, and he's going to walk you through everything that you need to know at a high level about Splunk. So I appreciate you taking the time. Without further ado, I'll hand it over to Mike. Mike.
Thank you, Carnes. Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So every company has a universe of real-time data, and these circles here, like databases and networks, are just some examples, but the data could be coming from any kind of source. And this universe of data creates both more opportunities and threats than ever before. Yes, there are the applications, servers, and databases that run our modern companies, but every newly digitized artifact in your business is its own slice of information that is critical to your success. The volume, velocity, variety, and variability of that data is always increasing, with new data sources being added all the time. Companies who are best positioned for this world awash with data are prepared to drive business outcomes by looking across their systems and making sense of their data to identify opportunities and potential threats. And as I'm sure you're probably aware, it's not as easy as it sounds. All this data is coming from machines. And again, here on the right are just some examples of different data you might be bringing in. And as I mentioned before, the volume, velocity, variety, and variability of data are important factors to consider. You need to be able to handle the volume of data you're dealing with, large or small, as well as the velocity of data from static to real time. You also need to be able to handle a large variety of data, as well as the potential for variability in it. And some solutions can handle the volume and velocity, and Splunk can as well. But where Splunk really shines and sets itself apart from the pack is Splunk's ability to deal with variety and variability of machine data and provide users value from the data. So let's get into what is machine data and why is it a big deal? Well, for one, it's one of the fastest growing, most complex, and most valuable segments of data. And it also contains a trace or categorical record of user behavior, cybersecurity risk, appliance behavior, service levels, fraudulent activity, and customer experience. All of the technology and infrastructure running your enterprise, all of the web servers, applications, network devices, mobile devices, whatever it might be, generate massive streams of data, and they can come in an array of unpredictable formats that are difficult to process and analyze by traditional methods or in a timely manner. And oftentimes this data coming in is siloed, making it difficult to find or see correlations between.
I'm not hearing anything.
All right, sorry about that. I will continue on. So as I mentioned, oftentimes data coming in can be siloed, and this can make it difficult to find or see correlations between all the different sources of data in your environment. And Splunk removes those silos so that you can make those correlations and answer questions that you maybe didn't even know you had. And so again, why is machine data important? I want to hit on these 2 points of IT infrastructure data and security data. The average cost of downtime for a data center is $30,000 per hour, and cybercrime will cost the world in excess of $6 trillion annually. Splunk enables you to bring in all these types of data and much more and make sense of it so that you can ultimately be proactive rather than reactive with your data to prevent issues from occurring in the first place. Splunk has created the world's first data to everything platform to remove barriers between data and action so that organizations can turn data into doing. So to break down data to everything, Splunk is there to bring data to every question, every decision, and every action. Basically to bring data to every mission outcome. I like to look at a customer's journey with Splunk as a crawl, walk, run, sprint approach, starting slowly and then building up. Typically, customers start with Splunk to solve a specific problem or use case, and then expand from there to address a broad range of use cases. So for example, maybe they are initially using Splunk for IT use cases, but then they realize that some of their IT operational data is relevant to their security posture. So they bring in more data and begin expanding into some security use cases. And so here's how it works. Splunk collects and indexes your data all in real time. And once data is in Splunk, you can search, analyze, create reports and alerts, and create custom visualizations and dashboards to make sense of that data. And so to recap a little bit, why is dealing with machine data so difficult? And this is for many reasons. For one, it is generated in real time and it can be messy and unpredictable, and it can also require massive scaling. You also don't always know the questions to ask up front. Traditional relational database management systems and classic search technologies require you to define your fields up front, which means that you need to know the questions you want to ask up front. So what do you do when you have new questions you need answers to? Going back and redefining and creating new fields can be difficult and time consuming. Splunk can automatically detect and extract fields from your data, answering the questions you need answers to, as well as having answers to questions you didn't even know you had. Here is a high-level overview of Splunk's abilities. Splunk gives you that single centralized platform to handle multiple use cases. It has the ability to scale to whatever size is needed for your infrastructure. It also has an open ecosystem to allow you to adapt Splunk to your specific needs. Splunk has the ability to deploy on-prem or in the cloud or through a hybrid approach. And Splunk utilizes artificial intelligence and machine learning to deal with the grunt work of dealing with data and getting actionable information in front of humans quicker. So now let's take a look at an example of how Splunk is able to find correlations within your data. So here we have raw data coming in from different sources. So for example, order processing and middleware errors. And Splunk is able to auto extract fields like customer ID, order ID, product ID, and the customer's Twitter ID to correlate these separate events together. And Splunk can further extract more fields like time waiting on hold and customers' tweet fields that are useful for painting the full picture of the customer's experience. So here with Splunk, you are able to quickly see that a customer placed an order for some product and encountered an error. They then tried calling to resolve their issue and were stuck on hold, which led them to tweet a bad review. With this information, you are able to respond to this customer's experience, as well as identify the issue so that you can be proactive with preventing this issue from occurring again. As companies' needs have evolved, so has Splunk. Every company is on a journey that includes not only investigation and monitoring, but also analysis and action. Splunk helps guide customers on this complete data journey. Nearly every data problem requires a combination of these skills, and they all become more powerful when they can share data with one another. Today, most companies have multiple tools running each of these steps separately, and these may be even more separated by, for example, security tools and IT tools. And each of these may seem like the best choice for that individual job, but they're keeping you from realizing the power of all four working together. Splunk provides you a one-stop shop, having the tools needed at each stage of your data journey, no matter the use case. And again, as I just mentioned, Splunk is a one-stop shop. It gives you that centralized location to search all of your data in one place in real time, whether that's on-prem, in the cloud, or both. And Splunk's search interface is very user-friendly with over 140 commands, making analyzing your data quicker and easier. One really cool and unique example of how Splunk is being used that I like to share is Lockheed Martin's F-35 Lightning II program. Lockheed Martin uses Splunk to monitor and analyze IT systems and network behavior for the Autonomic Logistics Information System, or ALIS, which supports the F-35 Lightning II, a fifth-generation fighter jet. Splunk analyzes machine data from the systems and networks supporting the ALIS structure to help ensure applications are operating at peak performance. And that is just one example. Splunk is trusted by organizations with the world's highest security standards. More than 10,000 customers in 100 countries have purchased Splunk, and this includes a majority of the Fortune 100. Enterprises, service providers, and government agencies in 100 countries use Splunk to improve service levels, reduce IT operation costs, mitigate security risks, and drive new levels of operational visibility. Splunk also has a welcoming community and ecosystem. The two main things I'd like to hit on here are Splunk Answers and Splunk Base. And these are essentially the Stack Overflow and Apple App Store for Splunk. With over 86,000 questions answered on Splunk Answers and over 1,800 apps on Splunk Base, with a majority of those apps being free with your Splunk license. Any question you might have has probably already been answered on Splunk Answers, And Splunk Base has apps to help Splunk integrate with whatever tools you might be already using, as well as apps containing pre-built visualizations and dashboards. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Trenton to get into a demo.
Yep, perfect. Thank you, Mike. So I'm Trent Burdick, sales engineer here at Carousel and Splunk team. I'm going to take you guys through a pretty quick demo of what Splunk looks like. And before I do, probably get into a few basics of how customers use it, what the data looks like, and getting into more information like that. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And Mike, can you go ahead and confirm that you can see my screen right now?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So what we're looking at here is the Splunk platform. It is a platform for operational intelligence. You can see that you can have it both on-prem or in the cloud. So with that being said, there is no functionality difference between the two. It's just where your data is going to be stored. And then top is the use cases. Mike went over these, so I'm not going to hit on them too much. But you can see security, compliance, and fraud and IT operations are two of the biggest ones. Those interlock a good amount. And kind of going into that, if I click on data description here, this looks a little messy. I promise you it's not that messy. The right side, we have different kinds of data. Customers like to bring in, first at Splunk, one specific kind of data for one use case. It might be, let's look at Windows event logs for security reasons. They start bringing that data in. They realize that they're also looking at IT operational data. So maybe they want to bring in more IT operational data. Example, web access logs. Now you can see it's really branching off into almost every use case that Splunk's known for. And that's kind of the ability for Splunk to scale and also answer questions that you didn't even know was there. The next thing I want to hit on is the raw machine data. What we're looking at here are different kinds of data, and some of these data points might be familiar in format to you guys. But the key point here is Splunk's able to bring in any kind of human readable data and make use of it. So we can look down and see here. This doesn't look, I mean, you can kind of make sense of what it is, but Splunk pulls out each fields and makes it so it's a lot easier to get into and search through that data too. And again, these are all different kinds of data. This looks like some kind of website. You can see where it's coming from. You can see the category of it, all that information without actually having to go in and look at just the messy data in the raw form. Last thing, probably most important thing is architecture. So at the bottom here, we have all different kinds of endpoints. You can see Cisco, VMware, Linux. Again, any kind of human readable data that comes from any of these endpoints, Splunk is able to bring in. There's three options to bring data in. There's upload, there's monitor, and then there's a forwarder. The forwarder is the best practice. It will send a carbon copy of the data into your Splunk indexers. I say the indexers is just a fancy word for storage. And then from there, this is what we actually interact with, the search edit. At search time, it will send or it will pull the data from these indexers, only what you're searching. So it's not pulling everything, which is going to save you a lot of time, resources, etc. But for the most part, that is how it works. There's little variations here and there based off of your environment, but that's the general gist of it too. Now I want to shift over and go into the actual Splunk instance. And this is going to be the very core of what Splunk is. So this is search and reporting. When you go in and download Splunk, this is exactly what you're going to get with nothing on top of it yet. And I can get into that here in a second. It does come with some pre-built applications that Mike hit on. You go to splunkbase.splunk.com and you can see all those different ones. You can see AWS, you can see Zoom, Google, etc. Again, any kind of vendor that you might have in your environment, you probably have integrations with. Anyways, core Splunk. You're going to get search and reporting, a nice search bar here when you want to search through the data. And you can also see more information on what's actually in here. I'm going to do a wildcard search. Now, I always say this is an awful practice. And what it does is returns everything in our instance. So I'm going to go ahead and search this. And now we can see here a topology graph of how much the data populates at each specific time. You can see at whatever time this is, 2:51, there's 1,100 events. But going down, we can see selected fields. So this is just, Splunk pulls these out of every single event that you have in here. It's just telling us where it's coming from, the source of it, and the source type, so what kind of data. But the most, not the most interesting, but where you're going to find the most unique parts of your data and the most compelling parts of it are going to be the interesting fields. So the best way I describe interesting fields is they really tell the story of what makes each event unique. Give an example is this one. Yeah, we can see where it's coming from, the source of it, and then the source type, so what kind of data it is. But going down to interesting fields tell what it's actually doing with this event. So it's coming from this port, the OS system's a Linux 5. You can see vulnerability score, etc. That's just one example. We can go in and look at more specifics. So if we want to look at users, now we can see our top users. Let's go ahead and look at, let's do a little more of a wide search here. Let's go and get into 7 days. So now we can see a lot more interesting fields here. Let me look at users again. So we can see there's no real, you can see there's a blank one here. But we can go in, let's just look at Ken, for example. He's our top user by a little bit, not much. We click on it, he's added to our search now. Now we can see everything he's connected to. We can see a lot of information on just what he's doing in our environment in the last 7 days. If we want to do just one specific day, just so we can say, hey, I want to have this as a report or whatever, for whatever it might be, for whatever reason you might want to do a report on the user, you can easily do that. So we can see this event, he was doing something with this. It's coming from the Buttercup Enterprise. It looks like he's some kind of coder, if I were to guess. You can see a row rack that he's associated with, server, etc. We created different values. If we also wanted to do, let me go back really quick and just look at all the users again. Again, this is where you can go in and see that raw data in its raw form, but also look at each device, look at each priority. This is probably more important information. We want to look at the highest priority. Let's look at critical. We're going to add that to search now. It probably doesn't help that I am going back and forth, which is making it run a little slow. But again, I have demo data, so data is very interesting sometimes. But here we can see all the critical events that have come in. We can see event types. You can see it's all coming from Nix. Objects associated with volume. More relevant information. Could be the source, could be latency, what instance it's coming from. So maybe this is something you want to set an alert on. And that's one big thing that Splunk is known for, is being able to set reports and alerts based off of data, any kind of data, like I mentioned. So anytime we have a priority of critical coming in our environment, we want to go ahead and save this as a alert title. We can call it critical. Permissions, again, if you want to share with everybody has access to the application, you can. If you want to keep it private, that's fine. Scheduled, you can have it run cron time, you can have it run every hour, every day, you can have it run in real time. We're just going to do every day, right as we leave work-ish, give or take. And then conditions, what's actually happening with this. So if it's number of hosts that are connecting to something, number of sources, something off from that, you can customize that. Greater than equal to, spikes up, drops down, plateaus, etc. You can do that too. The big thing I want to emphasize with this is the actions itself. So Splunk has a lot of integrations like we showed you on Splunk Base. That doesn't just go with your data and making dashboards. That goes with setting alerts and reports. You can see we have Splunk Mobile. We can have an email sent. We can have a script run. We can also have webhooks. There's more. If we go to more actions, you can see there's 200 of just new ones. One example would be Slack notifications. One can be a text message. One can be really anything that you can think of in regards to an action for an alert. To show you a quick example, it's in an email. Who it's going to, priority of it. This is probably pretty high just because it is priority critical. Who it's going to, the message of it, and what we want to include with it. If we want to make this a table, we can do a stats count by user or something like that to show all the users that have done this in the past day, and then when it got triggered. Go ahead and save it, and then that's how we can easily make that an alert. We can also save it as a report. So if we have a higher up that wants to know how many times this happens throughout the day, we can say this is a critical alert in 24 hours. And now we can go ahead and save it. And we can also have it set to run automatically every 24 hours if we want to get into that too. And just to show you really quick, last thing I want to go over is how easily you can make this make this into any kind of visualization. Let's do example of, let's just do event type. This isn't going to give us the best example. Actually, let's do source type. Stats count by source type. If I spell type right, it'll probably work better. Now we can have a nice graph here, or a nice table showing us the event types with the most critical events. To make it even more visually pleasing, we can go and save it as any kind of visualization that we can possibly think of. You can see there's a lot: line graph, area chart, etc., gauges, and you can go in here and format this to make it into different ones. I don't want to do that; it doesn't make any sense. But now you can save this to your own dashboard, existing or new one. That's how easy it is to do that. We have a lot of different applications to help with this stuff too, with different searches. We have a lot of classes, education courses, etc. They can go in and help you with this information too. Again, this is to make it easier for your life, your job, which is hopefully not your whole life, but to help you understand and see your data without actually having to go from each endpoint to endpoint to endpoint, trying to figure out if there's any correlation between the two. So with that being said, that is the search and reporting. I don't want to go into any more Splunk just because there's a lot more we can get into. And for the time allotted, I don't want to spend too much time on that. Again, Splunk base, important. This is where you can get all the applications, pre-built applications that go on top of the search and reporting. And since they are pre-built, it does save you a lot of time and it's relevant information. It's not just Splunk engineers going in here and talking about one specific thing. It's Splunk and, example, Zoom engineers going and collaborating and making sure you're seeing the relevant information for your data that has to do with Zoom. So with that being said, I'm going to kick it over to Carnes, and if you guys have any questions, please do let us know. And Carnes, there you go. Perfect.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for that, Trenton. I really appreciate it. So team, just wanted to take the opportunity here to say that now that we have a little bit more understanding on what Splunk is and what Splunk is doing in the ecosystem, please lean on Abraham's Consulting and the Caresoft team here for any questions or interests you have in Splunk as a platform. If it makes sense, and one thing that we like to offer is a quick demo, a quick customized use case demo where you can reach out to us, you can connect with us, and we can work together with the Abraham's team to provide some some more insights. Please leverage our capabilities. Please lean on us for any questions you have at all. And we really, really appreciate everyone taking the time here today. So I'll I think we'll leave it at that. If Angela has any finishing comments, feel free, but otherwise, I just want to say thanks and please lean on our team, and you'll receive our contact information as well as a recording of this for your reference. Angela, anything from your side?
Except to say thank you, Team Splunk, and we look forward to working with you for the opportunities that will present themselves. And if you're listening to the replay, certainly you can reach me at 718-979-1371 at Abraham's Consulting. My name is Angela Gibson. Once again, thank you so much for your time today. Have a great day.
Thank you, Angela. Thanks, team. Have a great day.